Unless you've been living under a rock, you find out the United States has struck sites in Iran. Apparently, three different sites, but the one specifically at Fordo, um, I think there was something like 12 B 2 bombers involved. There were several flights. There was a lot to it. It's very well likely a $100 million operation minimum. It's a lot of money. So, okay. Some are saying we're at a de facto state of war now. Um, I'm not sure if that's true or not. There's a lot of opinions and stuff that's flying. One thing that is absolutely sure, the Trump, well, I won't even say the Trump base. I'll just say MAGA. I guess a Trump base. Um, absolutely, absolutely fracturing. What are the eventual numbers of this? Don't know. Time will tell. I have a feeling the midterms, it's not going to be the decisive victory that it was in 2024. There's just no doubt. In fact, I am amazed at how many kind of more anti-war right there actually is. Um, Starting to see maybe the anti-war left go back to their Volvos and open the trunk and try and find their anti-war signs from back when Bush was invading Iran. We'll see. But the end of the day, let's consider some other stuff. Whether we just get the immediacy of war, it's too early to tell what's going to happen. Um, so let's go take a look and see what kind of. Let's get this pulled up here now. Do we want to start off with this? Nope. I tell you what, we're going to go ahead and start off with Judge Napolitano. Here's the show. I'm just going to play a quick clip of this. So bear with me here. Sorry, folks. I'm still sipping coffee. Took some friends to the swimming hole today, and it was kind of funny because these folks have never swam in water that cold. So needless to say, it didn't last that long. We're having storms right now, so bear with me just one moment here. Let's get that pulled up. All right. So bear with me here. Let me go ahead and disable my ugly mug. And, okay, Judge, tell us what you think.
25 of Judging Freedom with Scott Ritter. Before Scott and I begin our conversation as to what the President of the United States ordered and the military carried out last night and this morning in Iran, a brief statement from me. What the President of the United States did was profoundly unconstitutional, absolutely unlawful, was an impeachable offense, and was a war crime. Under our Constitution, only the Congress can declare war, not the President. And Congress can only declare war on a country that poses an immediate and grave military threat to the United States of America. President Trump has started a war with Iran, which poses no threat, let alone immediate or grave whatsoever, to the national security of the United States of America.
I had actually.
Okay. I don't know if that's true or not. He's a judge. I'm not. But it's kind of a pretty damning kind of scenario. And also, before we get too deep into this, I also wanted to point out too, let's go look at this. Already, not even 24 hours later, well, actually, although this is from 2 days ago, there's already folks that are talking about boots on the ground. Let's see. Sina Tusi, Senior Non-Resident Fellow at the Center for International Policy think tank. He's also echoing, there was statements from an Israeli official. I don't have confirmation on that. I will try to find that, though. That's basically saying, well, look, when they look at the site, there's no way to take it out with anything less than a nuclear bunker buster. They're going to need boots on the ground eventually. Now, is Trump going to resist that? I don't know. Go ahead and take a look at this facility. Okay. Now, keep in mind, this is allegedly right here on the screen. Let me make sure that we can actually all see that. Yes. Okay, let me go ahead and just. You guys. Let me go ahead and crunch that on the screen a little bit better here for you. Okay. It's going to have to do. On this particular site, here we go. Oh, almost had it. There we go. You should be able to see that now. Okay, this site right here. Keep in mind, probable ventilation structure, probable equipment service hall, probable main. Now, I have no doubt that the CIA and Mossad and MI6 probably have better intelligence than this. But this was some recent documents, and this is what they expect. No one really knows for sure. And this is where the enrichment facility was. And if we can see in this tab, we see that there was strikes here and strikes here. Apparently, these are basically the outlets, what I've been told, or access points of this site. Now, do we know for sure that we've destroyed it, as Trump claims? I don't think we can make that assumption. We just don't know. But one thing about Trump, the guy can't keep his mouth shut. He's going to declare victory over, we just know Trump. It's the way Trump is. Now, a couple of other things that happened today is Iran's declared they're going to shut down the Strait of Hormuz. This little stretch right here. And keep in mind, Rubio's already reaching out to China, making overtures, probably demands, probably begging China to intervene with Iran because China has a great deal of interest, being about 80-90% of Iranian oil ends up in China, to not allow this to happen. If in fact this does happen, and they point out, I'm seeing a lot of pushback on this, saying, well, look, it only affects like 5% of the rest. People don't seem to understand how the oil kind of scenario works. It's a giant pool, and it's not about, okay, yeah, it hurts China. Absolutely. Of course, they got a railway system there now. So it's not like they're going to be totally without. Not only that, Iran said, well, we'll let Chinese ships through, but we're not letting U.S. or Israeli ships through, or Western ships, whatever the case may be. They're going to be able to exercise some control over that. And again, at the end of the day, they don't actually have to militarily completely shut this down. Once the insurance companies get wind of what's going on here, They're not going to let any ship. Nobody's going to insure the thing. You're going to take that chance? If you're an insurance company, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of oil in a giant tanker, no way. And if you don't think that this is going to affect the global market, seeing some of the future stuff, it's already happening. And also, just kind of moving along, going through here. There we go. It's somebody that I respect to some degree, but he has certainly a lot more knowledge of things like special forces and stuff. Sean Ryan. Um, I want you to just let this sink in. They're calling for additional U.S. funding of Taliban. Remember that country, Afghanistan? We went to free from the Taliban, so we spent 23 years, billions of dollars, and then ended up leaving like basically Vietnam in 1975 when they were dumping helicopters off the back of aircraft carriers. We are going to approach and fund Taliban factions to combat the Iraqi, uh, basically guards. And you can hear the special forces. This is the most absolute insane, nonsensical stuff. This is what our foreign policy they're suggesting we're going to do. I mean, it's absolutely unreal. And meanwhile, Israel is saying, okay, they're going to continue strikes in Iran. Well, Trump just claimed that we've blown it up. It's devastated. It was full. We're done. Job over. Mission accomplished. Meanwhile, Israel is over here saying, nope, nope, the battle goes on. Okay, so we guess it really wasn't about nuclear strikes, is it? Truth of the matter is, we all know this. It's regime change. And the hope of this was, and I have no doubt because this stuff's already getting leaked, that the people whispering into, what was this, General Shula, whatever his name was, huge pro-Israeli advocate, and he apparently has Trump's ear over Witkoff at this moment. They're saying, look, we strike Iran and Israel's with it. We back them up. It's going to destabilize their government. Remember, this was a decapitation strike. In addition to allegedly striking these sites, what Israel essentially did was they snuck boots on the ground in there, much like what happened in Ukraine a month ago, and killed a bunch of their scientists. They killed the negotiating team, for Pete's sakes. And they're talking about, we've heard about it all week, about the potential of killing Khomeini. So it's not about the nuclear sites. Never was. It's clear as day. A high school kid could read through the lines of this stuff. It's as plain as the nose in your face. The war is going to go on. The question is, the United States going to get involved? Well, that remains to be seen. Now, and I'm going to come back to this one here. Let me just move this one over. But that one's definitely something I want to kind of come back to here. Now, of course, we can ask here, let's see, slow to pull up. Little Marco Rubio. We're ready to negotiate this in a peaceful, diplomatic way. We're off to a roaring start, aren't we? We've been prepared to do this for days. They are the ones that played games. Wait a minute, we're in the middle of this and we bombed them. What, 12 hours after what the deadline expired? Okay. So he's talking about negotiating with them. Do you honestly think these people are going to negotiate with us now after what just happened? You're out of your ever loving mind. What a joke. All right. And just to kind of prove the point here, I mean, look, I mean, just whoever this person is, they get it. How are other nations supposed to trust American diplomacy now? Exactly. And here we go. Senior Iranian official tells CNN doesn't believe Trump is negotiating in good faith and instead working with Netanyahu to pursue a common project, in this case, regime change. Well, guess what? The Russians went through this. Remember, a month ago, Ukraine tried to assassinate Putin using the same tactics, drones, a decapitation strike. Got the fingerprints of CIA, Mossad, and MI6 all over it. The rest of the world's watching this. China's watching this. Now, the whole BRICS people, the rest of the world. Now, are any of these people like, peer competitors in the United States? No, of course not. That's not the point. Um, who's going to trust negotiating? Trump claims he's the deal maker. And again, all across even Europe. Von der Leyen, this one's funny. This gal, her cheese slid off her cracker a while ago. Von der Leyen says Iran must respect international law in a response to illegal strikes on Iran. Iran gets attacked illegally, according to international law, and the EU scolds Iran to follow international law. Are they nuts? I agree, Lord Bebo. They are absolutely nuts. We are not dealing with rational people here. I'm sorry, but foreign policy, and I thought it was bad here in the United States. It's just as bad with the European elites. And these are allegedly the most sophisticated folks on the planet and educated. Don't believe it for a second. Kind of like this little tab here. It seems kind of prescient at the moment. It's tongue in cheek, folks. So, from Emperor Hirohito, we have completed a very successful attack on Hawaii. All of our planes are outside of American airspace. Full payload of bombs was dropped on the primary site of Pearl Harbor. All the planes are safely on their way home. Congratulations to our Japanese warriors. There is not another military in the world that could have done this now. Now is the time for peace. Thank you for your intention in this matter. The memes write themselves. I mean, it's unreal. So we're seeing some backlash to this. I guess maybe the anti-war left is starting to wake up again. Again, as I mentioned, they reached back in their old dusty Volvo trunks and pulled out the anti-war signs from back in 2006. There they are. Thousands of people are kind of ticked off. Trump must go. These are professional protesters. The one thing I have to hand it to the left. My God, these people, they're good at it. What's Pete Hegseth got to say about this? Any retaliation by Iran against the United States of America will be met with force greater than what you witnessed tonight. Thank you, Donald Trump. If you're not familiar with forward operating bases, the United States still has troops in Iraq and Syria. It's a small number of people, and we saw this actually last year when Israel, I can't remember, Israel, they assassinated Soleimani. And there was a response that they attacked some of our bases. I want to tell you just the sick depravity of this. We put small bases out there on the fringes of the border, lightly manned things. There's no huge troop presence or anything here. They get attacked by Iran or its proxies, or all we know, it could be Mossad. You never really can tell out there in the vast reaches of the desert, right? But if we attack any of our bases, you know it's going to happen. Now we got the casus belli to put boots on the ground. It's called a trigger base. And it's literally like dangling a dog treat. It's like putting a cracker on his nose and telling him not to get it. And they're counting on that machismo of seems to run through the Arab blood, a lot like Latin guys. They just can't seem to keep their cool, kind of a thing, kind of keep emotions in check, a little bit tough. They're counting on that. You smell it in the air. We've already went through all of this before in Iraq, Afghanistan. We have you guys fell asleep. Do you not remember what happened last time? Literally, some of this stuff is almost cut and paste. I guess maybe there's enough young people they don't remember. They were still in school or something. Okay, let's go. And I'm bouncing around here just because I've got a gazillion tabs of stuff to kind of run through. Already, again, back to the Straits of Hormuz. Once it was announced, 9:15 this morning, Eastern, the ships are already starting to turn around. I hope you got gas in your tank. Monday is going to be a hell of a day on the stock market, let me tell you. It's going to be interesting. Um, the United States economy is really in a precarious thing. We'll go into that in a later depth, but we're not in the best of places. In fact, I have Melanie Wright coming on tomorrow, and we're going to talk about where the housing place is, and it's as scary as 2008, in my opinion. Nope, let's go see. So, some of the latest statements here: Russia and China are not going to let Iran fall. Going to back Tehran after the U.S. strikes. Apparently, there's already being a ratchet up. I know there's an emergency meeting in the UN Security Council. At this point, China's already got 2 spy ships, electronic surveillance ships, whatever you want to call them, already there. What happens if the United States or Israel strikes one of them? We're talking Chinese here. Now, they're reluctant to get involved in this directly, but at the same time, like 80-90% of the Iranian oil is going to China. China needs that. Their economy is in bad shape. Um, then what? A lot of things going on here. And by the way, and to those people that are basically saying, well, Russia's already checked out. Interesting enough, because I had to find it from the last time that I did a show. Putin pointed out, actually earlier, said, look, they offered to have this comprehensive air defense system. Uh, the Russians make some of the best air defense system in the world, probably better than the United States. Um, Debatable. And the Iranians said no. They didn't want a defense agreement, and there was a reason why. One, as Putin had went on to say, and by the way, I don't know if any of you people that actually pay attention to this stuff ever take the time to listen to when the guy speaks. It's worth listening to. A sober, rational leader. Um, does that mean he's shifty, or would you trust him? No, but you probably should listen to what he say. Sticking your fingers in your ear and going, he's the bad guy, la la la, I don't care what he says, is the dumbest thing you could ever do in your life. It boggles my mind, and so many people do this. But he's pointing this out. He's going, look, they didn't want it. Couple of reasons. One, as he kind of alluded to, is the Iranians aren't overly trusting of Russians. For one, he says they're the hard people to help. That's quite a statement. The other reason got pointed out quite well. Had there been a defense agreement, Russia also pointed out something like a third of the population of Israel, I forget how many million, are Russian Jews. Putin made this statement. He goes, it's almost like an extension of Russia. Now think about that statement. What is he telling? He's telling Israel, be careful. There's a bunch of Russian speaking Jews out there. You don't know what they're up to. You don't know where they're going. All of a sudden you just welcome them because they're Jews, but at the same time, They speak a completely different language or can speak Russian. Not all Jews speak Russian, obviously. It's basically saying, watch yourself. When it comes down to it, where are these people's loyalties going to go as they're watching all of these Shahed missiles and stuff rain down on them? Okay, that's quite a bold statement there from Putin, and people should pay attention to it. Getting back to the whole kind of MAGA stuff, this is a huge common sentiment, and I'm seeing everybody dismiss. Trump even put out a thing, oh, MAGA's strong. No worry, we're unified as ever. No, they're not. No, they are not. Not by a long shot. Look what he pointed out about Massey. He's already calling him basically a traitor. Um, I think if you were to put it to a vote right now, Thomas Massey of Kentucky probably get more votes than Trump. It'd be a neck and neck kind of a race. Just like this guy here points out, this is the sentiment of many. And in some cases, sentiments of my own. I share this. Where's the Epstein list? JFK files, taxes cut, deportations. Okay, we got that one going. Fair trade, kind of working on that one, but it ain't working out so good. And again, how many people are going to be willing to negotiate with the United States on anything? Can't trust them. He's going to tell you one thing, and then on a Saturday night, going to do something else. Would you, in good faith? I mean, it's literally like a used car salesman. Everybody knows how swarmy they are. They're like down there with parasites and lawyers. Nobody trusts them. Read the fine print. Deep state arrests. I knew that wasn't ever going to happen. When we saw him chant "Lock Hillary up," that never happened. Now the auto pen hearings is another one. Hunter Biden. It's like who was actually running the country back then. And then of course Doge cuts started out strong, but then they started cutting too close to the bone. Got to get rid of Doge, man. Can't have them cutting funding. How do you think that people that make $174,000 a year end up multimillionaires in 3 years? Right? Come on, do the math in your own head. This is high school stuff, man. You don't have to be a rocket scientist or a genius. This is just, hello. And again, Dmitry Medvedev. This guy is a scary guy. We hear the chants of getting rid of Putin. They want to regime change Putin. Seeing a lot of similarities here. This is the guy you would get. This guy would have already probably launched nukes, man. This guy's hardcore. He's kind of a nut job, in my opinion. They're talking about considering giving nuclear pre-made warheads. Iran, you don't have to develop them. The only way to keep any kind of stability in the Middle East, according to some people, now you can agree with it or not, but people are considering it, saying, well, look, the only way we've been hearing about Israel wanting to attack Iran, as well as neocons here in the United States, for over 20 years. This goes back to the 80s, man. They've wanted it ever since, basically, let's face it, the hostage situation in Iran. There's been a group of people that just, it wasn't enough that we resolved the issue. They want to go back and get some blood. That's never went away. And now they're saying, look, the only way that we're going to get any kind of stability is to be able to give Iran a nuclear weapon. That scares the shit out of me, a theocratic government, but at the same time, let's look at Pakistan. You don't see anybody out there clamoring, or how about North Korea? North Korea, that dude's, there's another one whose cheese slid off his cracker, okay? Kim Jong-il, apparently he's got weapons that could reach at least California. Some say as far as New York. Not even really sure. Nobody's clamoring, and that's Trump's buddy. Nobody's clamoring to get rid of their nukes. Once you got them, you're in the club. And there's a lot of people saying, well, look, the only way that this shit in the Middle East is going to end between Israel and Iran is give Iran nuclear weapon, or have the IAEA go out there and basically sanction Israeli nuclear weapons. They ain't never going to let that happen. Keep in mind, Israel refuses to sign the NTP. They don't want the IAEA in there inspecting Israeli sites. They pretend they don't exist. We all know they have somewhere like 100, 150 of them. Unreal. Okay. And again, this is just some of the common sentiment. Beyond all the bluster and stuff, there's a couple of skepticism. Did Trump really obliterate Iran's entire nuclear program? No, he didn't. No, he didn't. And we're saying, okay, we're done now. Iran's not going to retaliate. I don't believe that either. And Iran was seeking nuclear weapons. You can believe that or not. According to our national intelligence estimate of Iran, they weren't. And you could tell everything that's going on. Again, high school kid can read through the lines here. At the 0 hour, Tulsi Gabbard comes in and goes, well, maybe. Nope, people aren't believing it. Now, again, J.D. Vance, to his credit, I thought was a pretty smart guy. He's went to Ivy League school. He's a tech bro. Like him, hate him, whatever, fine. You wouldn't suggest that he's a moron. But look what he wrote. We're not at war with Iran. We're at war with Iran's nuclear program. Wow, the mental gymnastics. Unreal. Well, let's see. What are the chances here? Well, 18 hours since. 2025 recession odds rose from 27 to 35%. Meanwhile, odds of a New York Stock Exchange circuit breaker market crash rose from 14 to 19%. Will the plunge protection team be there Monday? Bet your ass. Almost count on it. Also, real quick, let's go ahead and check this out because not everybody is on the same page with this. I'm not aware of this person in Spain. Apparently, she's some kind of a minister, but she's basically saying here that Israel and the United States, not Iran, have nuclear weapons, and the only United States is the only one to use one. Being their ally, puts them at danger. They're afraid of Article 5, that if they end up in a war, they don't want to be involved in it. They don't want to feel obligated to go. They feel that this is completely reckless. You can call her the AOC of Spain, whatever, fine. But there's some shared sentiment like this in the smaller states in the EU. So back to the Straits of Hormuz. I love it. Little Rubio. China should pressure Iran not to close the Strait of Hormuz. Good luck. Good luck with that. Again, we are not dealing with rational adults here. These are infantile people that believe in magic lollipops and unicorns, and then again, maybe they don't believe that. Maybe the goal is war. I don't know. But it wasn't peace. We wouldn't have bombed them, and we wouldn't have our Secretary of State over there literally begging the Chinese to intervene on our behalf because, again, nobody believes us. The United States' word is shit. Nobody believes us. Europeans don't believe us. The Russians don't. The Chinese don't. BRICS don't. Even our own allies are like, did you believe Trump? Talks out of both sides of his mouth, man. And again, as Massey points out, again, the same sentiment. A lot of us who voted for Trump, MAGA movement, bigger than even Trump, was a hope that there was going to be no new wars. It's the biggest reason I was there. No longer. Absolutely no longer. Done with that. Let's go back. Oh, JD. Oh, JD. Vance, I empathize with Americans who are exhausted after 25 years of entanglements in the Middle East. I understand the concern, but the difference is back then we had dumb presidents. The absolute incredulity, the mental gymnastics. This is just absolutely mind boggling. And we're supposed to take this seriously. I'm at a loss. I'm just absolutely at a loss. What's the difference between back then and no? There's no difference. Uh, I get he's got to say this. Trump will not have any disloyalty in his crew. We already saw, thanks to Democrats' lawfare, 4 years trying to do everything to get Trump out of there. Trump don't trust anybody. In fact, I think he's probably a touch on the paranoid side. Probably rightly so, even. I mean, they only tried to assassinate him twice. And the funny thing is, the very people that wanted him assassinated were the anti Trumpers. All the ones that are today saying, oh, what a great guy Trump is. He finally did the right thing. It's the only one thing this government agrees on. It's it. Democrats, Republicans agree on one thing: war. Is this in the best interest for me, you, your children? How's that going to help you out? I don't get it. And of course, again, Israel attacked an airport because it wasn't about the nuclear program. It just isn't. And again, allegedly, Iran is weak. They don't got it in them. Well, there's already talks in the New York Times of Iran, or excuse me, Israel. Let's see, running low on interceptors. Let's go back. This is just following the strikes on Iran. That's not Gaza. This is like Tel Aviv. Uh, we don't even know how many missiles Iran has. Are they at the end of their capacity? We don't really know. They could have 1,000 more. They might have 50 more. They might be out today. We don't know. They're willing to make that chance. There are already people, they can't flee from the airport. They've attacked the airport. Airport shut down. The economy of Israel is shut down. They're on the lifeblood of the United States. We're evacuating people into Cyprus. Some of them are fleeing by boat that can get one or across the Egyptian border. Israelis have never had this happen to them on a large scale. They wake up every night, they can't sleep. They're going into bomb shelters day after day. They've they've struck literally their version of the CIA, the Mossad. Uh, they've struck oil facility, port facilities, a power plant. There are parts of the city around Tel Aviv, I believe, that were totally without power. And the Israelis, for the first time, are getting the shit knocked out of them. But Iran's weak. Remember that. Everybody will tell you how weak Iran is. Can they continue this pace? I don't know. I don't have a clue. But the Israelis are finding out. And I don't think they're too happy about it. So I'm going to share this from Luke Groman. And by the way, I highly encourage you to go check out Luke. He's one of the best macro guys out there for financial. According to the Jerusalem Post, the number of countries are ready to supply Iran with nuclear warheads. Following an American strikes on nuclear facilities early Sunday, Russian Dmitry Medvedev said, blah, 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 blah. We've kind of covered that. According to Medvedev, enrichment of nuclear material, and now we can say it outright, the future production of nuclear weapons will continue. That's where we're at. I don't think people are taking this probably as serious as maybe they should. Um, hey, you do you. Uh, go check this out. USA Today, Israel may be running low on missile interceptors, putting the U.S. in a bind. Times of Israel, denying reports IDF indicates it's now not running low on missile interceptors, but the Wall Street Journal says U.S. is racing to defend Israel as it burns through its stockpile of missile interceptors. NPR, the math behind the war. Can Israel air defenses keep up against Iranian attacks? We'll see. We will see. Now, keep in mind, for what it's worth, let me get this over. They don't have to run out of interceptors. We're seeing the damage being done to Israel. And again, Iran's taking it on the chin too. They're getting hammered. No doubt about it. But Iran's something like what? The third the size of the continental United States. Israel's the size of like New Jersey. Everything. Compact country. We're also talking only something like what? 13 or 30 million. I forget Israel's population. I could Google it, but it's like 1/10 the population of Iran, which is scattered over a place a third the size of the United States. Again, they don't have to run out of interceptors. You see with your own eyes, every night, every morning, these hypersonic missiles are landing all over, and they're hitting targets, key targets. They struck the airport, the Mossad, oil facilities, power generation. Um, Israel's wholly dependent on the United States right now. It's almost like your little brother went to school, picked a fight with the biggest bully in the 5th grade. Then he's got to come over to you. You're in the 8th grade, and it's like, God, I got to help him out. Well, then you find out that the kid he's picking on happened to be in the 7th grade. Well, it's like, okay, yeah, you might be able to whoop him, but it might not be the easy fight you thought it was. How long can they endure? I don't know. How much is it already going to cost you? How many extra shifts are you willing to work at your job? We got a debt to GDP ratio of 126%. Bonds market's in the shitter. Tomorrow morning, we're going to see the price of oil go up. Within days, you're probably going to see gas prices at the pump start going up. Price of gold's going up. Why is gold going up? It's a flight to safety. People are kind of skeptical about the dollar holding up. At the end of the day, there's just a lot of uncertainty out there. People can't afford a home. People are struggling, average people, not the people on the coast, and certainly not people in the DC to New York corridor. I'm talking about all the other people in the flyover places. They're struggling. They're already talking about places like Walmart going on saying, look, we're watching actually upper middle class people start shifting into shopping at Walmart for groceries. And you're looking at stuff like Publix and Kroger's and stuff are they're seeing a little bit of a taper, and all of a sudden you're starting to see things like dollar store pickup. People are pinched. There's companies out there that allow you to put a Chipotle burrito on a payment plan. A payment plan for a burrito. Does that sound like a healthy economy to you? People, you drive through the city of Los Angeles, or some shithole like Seattle, and you look at the downtown streets, there's feces and drug needles, and it's just this death and decay, tent cities everywhere. Philadelphia, New York. Uh, and trust me, it's not lost on people in rural places. Go, I mean, you want to see some bad stuff? Go some of the Midwest towns, even places in Texas. Louisiana's a bad one. Kentucky, Ohio, and you look at all the rural towns, and they're like desiccated. They're falling apart. Drug fentanyl overdoses and stuff. People are dying by the thousands. Does that sound like a healthy economy to you? Does that sound like a healthy society to you? Struggling to afford groceries? Drug addiction everywhere? Our kids hate capitalism. They think that we're colonizers. This is what's coming out of our education and our schools, an absolute hatred for the country, Western civilization. They want to flock to communism, get the free stuff. You know, equality for all. We're seeing a disproportion of all these things. So you're willing to go to work a little harder, put in a double shift, work some extra hours, just to make sure that we can afford to what? Send arms to Israel? Gas up another B 2 bomb to go drop a couple $100 million worth of material, make some holes in the desert that likely didn't do anything. They claim they moved them. I don't know if that's true or not. We don't have any evidence of it. But they're still firing missiles at Israel. So apparently it hasn't killed them that much. What is the average American getting out of this? As J.D. Vance pointed out, we're tired. 25 years, constant wars. A lot of families got pictures on the living room wall of loved ones, their kids, for weapons of mass destruction that never existed. People are tired of it. We've had it. And all of this seems to be for the greater benefit of another country, not even our own. So people are pretty upset. I don't know where this is all going to go. Um, I know that there are people out there, and maybe someone will actually watch this and go, "But Preston, you just don't understand. We stopped them from getting a weapon. Ain't that a great thing?" There's absolutely no evidence that they were going for a weapon in the first place. And if they were, then again, couldn't we? Why didn't we apply this logic to the Israelis, who have weapons, the North Koreans, Pakistan, for God's sakes? It's a non sequitur. Does not follow. There isn't a logical kind of conclusion of they could have, they might have, we believe they were. But the factual evidence just does not support this. So, anyway, we'll see. I wish I had better news on a Sunday. Um, I guess the only good news is watching a couple of friends of mine, man, their eyes got about that big around when they jumped into icy cold mountain water. Oh, it was glorious, man. I ain't going to lie. Hopefully, a couple of you folks got to have a good barbecue or something on a Sunday. Went to church, hung out with family, friends, whatever the case may be. But I may actually have another cast following up tonight, kind of looking at some more, just some basic economic stuff. But anyway, I thank you for stopping by. Um, thanks for showing up here at Roots and Reason. Feel free to buy a coffee. Trying to grow things, get some additional equipment, pay for subscription stuff. So just nuts and bolts. I ain't doing this stuff to get rich. I'm just a poor schlep in Tennessee that's just, I don't know. I'm trying to give a perspective here of what is it life? What is life like for all of us deplorables and the flyovers? I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, conservative, liberal, gay, straight. I don't give a shit about any of that. I don't know. I care kind of the greater thing that there's a lot of people that are hurting right now in the middle of this country. It's tough. People are living hand to mouth. And I don't know what the hell our government's doing. But, they only have a couple of key things they're supposed to do. ensure our safety and our prosperity, being two of the biggest ones I can think of. And I don't feel like they're doing either one of them. But anyway, have a great Sunday. Thank you for stopping by. Take care.